Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to solder all the buttons for our the LED panel, the buttons, I guess. And so obviously each button has 2 prongs, each one, and as covered in the tutorial, we have them put through these holes right here. Gosh, sorry for this choppy camera footage. But so, I don't know if you can see, but each of these buttons we use one of these cables. It goes to the button. So it's already soldered on here. However, I will show how to solder. And then we have just a regular cable. Now these cables, all these ones, will end up going to Arduino, and as for the other ones, they're going to be going to ground so we can complete the circuit. They're going to be going to the ground on the Arduino versus the power supply. Because if they went to the ground on the power supply, then if I'm right, it wouldn't complete the circuit. Those are 2 separate grounds, and we need to keep at one anyway. So I've got my soldering iron heating up right here, and I've got a wet sponge to get off any solder on here. This, I believe, should be up to temperature now. Put it back in. And to strip off the wires, what we did is I used a little stripper here, but I did do this before. I had all of the grounds hooked up together, and then I realized that I needed to put the buttons through here, and that wouldn't be possible. So I had to unsolder them, but since there's still some solder on there, I'm going to cut them off with this. And get some more. Probably use that. There we go. We're using the 18 on there. Out of the way. We're just gonna do this for the rest. Now this is not a professional solution per se. Like, this could totally be done better. Ooh, it did not end up well. See that? That ended up stubbed, sort of. So I'll try that again. There we go. That's good. That one done. This one's looking kind of bad. Cut it off. Strip some more off. Cut it off. Strip some more off. There we go. Alright, this is done for now. So, we're going to be taking these cables, just going to twist them. Twisting in to make sure that all the individual fibers or strands of, I guess this would be silver, stay as one, and they're not going crazy. Twist those up. We already have these soldered on. Literally just took the end of one of them and just took it up, took off the end. Let me show you this. Took off the end, because the other end was actually like this. Took off the end, stripped it, put it on here, using solder, and if you look closely, you can see the actual solder on there. But there we go. So what I'm gonna do for this, again, this is such not the best solution, but it's what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna take all 4 of these guys and literally just twist them together. Make sure it's twisted tight. Now this is not a good solution, as I keep saying before, but it is a fast and it is an easy solution. Using, like, we could have hardware to make this a lot better, but that hardware isn't a necessity. I'm going to have to go grab a cable. So I'm back, and what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to take her little stripper here. Let me zoom out. I'm going to take it, just cut off the end there. We're going to cut off that little guy. That would go to the end of an Arduino or an Raspberry Pi or whatever. We don't need that anymore. It's the same thing that we did for these guys. So now that's gone. And take it, and then we're gonna strip it, but this is very thin. So I'm going to use the smallest one. There we go. Now that's done with. Again, twist it, twist it, twist it, twist it. There we go. Now we can, twist it in with this. Oh, that is so bad. But we can make it better using some solder. So I've got my soldering iron out of its little holder guy right here. This is very hot. You know what? I'm gonna go grab something. According to this list that I got from the manufacturer, we should not touch or use the iron when my hands are wet or with sweat. And make sure that you turn it off when you're not using this, because this does get hot and something could happen that you don't want to happen. So there's that. So this is our thing to solder. I'm going to zoom in. This is our thing to solder. It's just metal that can melt when applied with heat, aka this soldering iron, and we're gonna melt it down and onto here. So here we go. Alright. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my tip to the metal, or the wire. Then I'm applying my, there we go, we see some smoke. I'm applying the solder itself. And it's melting right on there. Now I'm actually going to flip it around so we can get the other side. We just want to make sure that this thing stays on there and all of the grounds stay connected to each other, so we're literally binding it with this solder, and something will go on top of this, so this isn't going to be exposed. It isn't as bad as it looks. Hopefully it isn't as bad as it looks. We'll see. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna put it back. Put my thing back, and we're gonna see how it looks. I'd say it's looking pretty good. Might need a little bit more. But overall, it's looking really good. So, there's that. You know, if I was doing this again, I probably would have maybe gotten a little bit longer cable right here. Because frankly, it's a little bit short. But this cable should help us out. Now this will all be in the big frame that we made using the 1x, I believe, 3. And this is the same stuff that we made the LED panel frame with. It's in the tutorial, but that's all going to be within that. So, plus the power supply is going to be in here. So that's why this thing is so darn big. It's because it's fitting all of our processing power, all of our power, and yeah. So, we got all that stuff. We got this somewhat soldered on. Let's get a little bit more though. I can just pull out some more solder if I need it, which I do. Now, I'm actually going to show you this. I have a sponge here, and I hisses because it's wet. And this is getting the solder off because that's not very good for the tip. I'm just going to put it back. Okay, so we're going to apply some more to it. And there we go. I think that's pretty good. Okay, and again, I'm gonna wash off my tip here. Get that solder off. Okay. Now that stuff's all soldered. We can make it a little bit better. I'm gonna put this back. I'm going to take the on and off switch from here. I'm going to turn this thing off. So my soldering iron is off. Now, to make this a little less horrific, what we can do is pretty much hide it and mask it using, well, this is sort of optional. I actually didn't even include this in the tutorial. But we can take some of this heat shrink tubing. And this is actually the first time I've used this, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I got my heat shrink, or rather heat, dual temperature heat gun. And my heat shrink tubing. I'm going to cut off a little bit of it right here. Again, this will just make it a teensy bit nicer and make it maybe a little bit better. Just gonna fit it around there. There we go. Now, get this close. Going to take the gun Go on there. Here we go. Gonna set this down. Okay, that's kind of smoking. So that's all done. It's just still a little bit hot. I'm gonna cut the top off a little bit. There we go. And now we have all of our grounds connected at one. And I showed you how to solder, and so we can get these things on. And we're just taking the tip of the soldering iron and putting it with, joining it with the metal. That comes off. We just need to make sure that these cables get on the prongs nicely. You know, all the grounds are connected. And we can connect to one ground to our Arduino right here. So what we'd be doing, say this is button 1, we're going to connect it to the D1, or rather D4, since that's what we're starting at. Then we go D2, oh, I connected the wrong one, D2, D3, and D4. Now this ground that we just made is going to go to our, guess what, the ground pin. Now we have two grounds on this Arduino. One is over here, one is over here. One of them we're using to connect to the LED panel so for the data can share a common ground with the strips, or with Arduino. So, and then this one, so we can complete the circuit. So when we flip this over, we'd be able to press the buttons, and that would complete a circuit with these buttons, and it would make it change to the appropriate scenes. So that's about it. Got that done. We would probably put the Arduino somewhere over here, just out of the way. And the power supply would go somewhere here, and yep, got this. Ta-da, you got yourself a full, or not a full panel, because we don't have the power supply in there yet, but we have a semi-full panel. And so there we have it. That's the soldering for this. We got ourselves a little complete thing here. And I know that wasn't super complicated. But yeah, that's it for this video. Make sure to check out the coding overview and check out the website. It explains a lot, shows my process in making this LED panel for cheap. And yeah.